All right, Coach. Now you're first place in the GNAC all by yourself. What's the view like? Is there any difference in kind of looking down from the top, and how vulnerable, I guess, would you say your team spot is with Western Oregon coming in?
Well, I'd say just it's great to be winning. It's great to be on top. It's where you want to be. It's where we plan to be. It's the goals you set out. We've had the alternative view before. This view is much better. It's as far as vulnerability goes, it's football, and so every week's a season. So I'd say that, with the Western Oregon team who's playing great football. I mean, right now all our focus is on them and playing one more week of college football, and so I'd say our team is hungry. They're veterans that we're creating more depth, we're getting more experience, and we also know that we've got a Western Oregon team that's coming. That's just, those games are always competitive, and we're as excited to play them as they are to us, I'm sure. So it's going to be a good week, and knowing that, hey, this is one of those weeks that we're hungry to play the game, and that's even starting today from the staff. We're hungry to play the game. We're hungry for college football, and this is what we have this week, so we're excited.
And obviously last week, crazy first half.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep your offense fresh with so few series and so few plays?
Well, looking back on it, yes, it's the weirdest first half I've ever been a part of, with the 6 snaps of offense that we did play. I mean, but it's great that you're scoring on defense. It's great you're scoring on your special teams. So what created it, that unique situation, we're very happy for. Now, in the big picture, a blessing in disguise is that now that's a game that Terrell's taking a lot less hits, and it's actually a chance to, without having a bye week, you got a chance to be fresher. The offensive line gets fresher. So now from this perspective, having the game outcome go the way you want it to, you look at it now and you're like, oh, this is kind of a blessing in disguise. So we are we're going to look at that. I thought they did an outstanding job. Our offensive line did, of just picking up what was one of the most exotic pressure schemes in our league. And Daz did a great job sitting in the pocket. So we'll learn a lot from that. We're going to learn going forward as we get ready for Western Oregon about how we continue to evaluate ourselves and fix the things that we need to fix and continue to improve.
And how do you, with so few offense series, how do you make adjustments? Is it difficult to go into the half not knowing how to adjust, maybe offensively, to what's working, what's not?
Yeah, I think it is difficult because you really didn't get to see what they wanted to do, and to be honest, they didn't get to see what we wanted to do. So it plays both ways for their defense and our offense. Is that we got to go out and play a game first, and so in some ways, like I said, it's just having been on the defensive side quite a bit in my career, you kind of want to know what they think they have and what they have. And so as a defensive coordinator, I think it's more of it serves as a disadvantage because you haven't been able to see if your game plan work out. You haven't had a chance to see what do they want to do. Offensively, I think you can sometimes be a little more creative. It's defense is a little bit like Homeland Security. You got to be right 100% of the time. And so, I think it did play in our offense's hands. I thought we opened up the passing game well. I thought it didn't give them a chance to adjust what they want to do coverage-wise. And then by that time, going into that second half and having hit the passes we were able to hit, momentum starts getting on your side. So I think it did play into our offense's hands as you look at the whole thing.
In the big first half plays, C.J. Broussard with the interception return, Tarek Miles with the kickoff return. Is that the kind of impact you envisioned your freshman class might have this year?
It's going back to February when you sign that class, you sign it with the hopes of these are the type of guys you're bringing in. And to have them bring some meat to the table like they did, it really does bode well for the recruiting efforts that we did, the evaluation efforts. I mean, recruiting it's an evaluation game. Who's the best person for fit for your program, for that position, for your systems? And so knowing that CJ and Tarek and to be honest with you, the whole freshman class, which a lot of them are redshirting this year, we are very excited. They're a great crew. I think where credit needs to be given to for this last week is our service defense. Those red shirts we talk about, those guys who are just redshirting this year, they did an outstanding job of playing with some real speed and physicality in our practices. So when our offense goes out there and plays the game, they're used to the speed, they're used to it all. And the same thing goes to on the offense, on the service team. Those guys are the unsung heroes, but they're just as much a part of this first place position that we're in right now. And no one sees them, but we know as a program that's a big reason why we're able to do what we do. Is because you're getting a great look all week long.
And going on with that, injuries are so rampant across every football program. And with that, you had the newest stepping in, make 15 tackles. How important has that depth been, on Saturdays where you can have someone step in and play well?
Yeah, well, I think at this point in the year for all the GNAC teams, you can see as you watch the tape, everybody's got injuries. It's such a physical league, and it's such a tough league. And so I think what we've learned from last year was that you do need to have depth, and you need to have a plan to constantly develop your depth all season long. Thankfully, the coaches have done a really good job of keeping guys like Steve in the loop, because he really wasn't even practicing full-time at the mic, and so, but we've, Coach Wilmer and the rest of the staff have done a good job is keeping the system, and same way on offense, to say is keep everybody in the loop, constantly be teaching, and I think for Steve, it's a credit to who he is, just how hard he played, just the type of athlete he is and the type of mental capacity he has to constantly stay abreast of what's going on with both with a few positions, not just one.
You got a one-game lead in the GNAC, but it's obviously wide open still with you and Central Washington and Western Oregon. How do you see the last 3 weeks shaking out? What's going to separate the champion from who doesn't finish on top?
Well, I think, all we can do, and what we want to do, is control our own destiny at this point. And so we're just focused on what we've got to do to shake ourselves out at the very top. What our opponents do is it's up to them. What we anticipate is they're going to work just as hard as we are. And so we're looking to constantly correct what we can correct, control what we can control. And we're hungry. We're hungry to keep going. We're hungry for a lot more than this. And so... except coming full circle, we're so excited that we get to play football again this week. We're so excited that we get to play it at home. We've got the best fans, we've got the best environment. The zoo does an outstanding job of creating that enthusiasm, and so this is a great week to be a Coug, and so we're fired up to be back on the football field here at home.
And talking about Western Oregon being at home against them, they bring a 3-game winning streak. They've won 5 of 6. They've got an explosive offense. They're averaging 33 points a game in conference play, 30 points, 6 games in a row. How do you slow that offense down a little bit this week?
Well, I think what you just said is exactly. That's they're discovering themselves. They're on their own scent of what they should do, who they need to be. And I thought, watching the film of who they are now, you've seen that they've matured quite a bit. They're playing good football. I think they know themselves well now, and so you see they just continue to just put out their systems, and the guys play well within them. So they've kind of found their identity. What you do this week is you go back and you've just got to be prepared for which is a great football team, and so that's number one. You always try to stay within the scope of who you are and play your best football. It's like I said again, it's controlling what you can control. But there's knowing that, hey, this is all about just today, right now. We're going to try to win today with the film study, with the preparation, with the practice, everything we have within our hands, and also be very conscious is that this is what the GNAC is all the time. It's always a dogfight, and so we're not shocked that this week coming up is once again another tough opponent, and that's why we love this league. That's why we're fired up about it. That's why we have a lot of pride in playing this week in and week out. So it's going to be a good one.